Hey guys. Good morning. Hey Gigi, we haven't seen you on book club in a while. How are you? Are you okay? I hope you're okay. I always get worried when people disappear for a little bit. I know, isn't it cute? He got the drink so that I could have the cup. I just wanted to show you guys. I have to wash it, obviously. I think I might, I don't know, I might make slime in it. I don't know, it's kind of cool, right? And it came with a little stir that's a broomstick. Kind of fun, right? I don't know, it's cute. This is unloaded already. What am I doing here? What am I doing here? We ask ourselves. Just work, that's fair. I love the cup too. That's what you should have done. Just, my husband wants to know what you thought of the movie. So I'm obviously gonna do a full, in-depth breakdown on my page, but I thought that it was so masterfully done, just absolutely beautiful. The cinematography was beautiful. The choices that they made were beautiful. The entire cast was perfect. There's nobody that I would have cast differently. I mean, the jokes that they added for us were perfect. He was concerned about you having a wand. They didn't have wands, Whitney, so I don't know anything about that. He wants the opinion from a Broadway person. You're not good enough. Whoa, the harshity of it all. I thought, I've actually been seeing this thing around where some people who aren't theater people are it's a movie, you guys shouldn't, people shouldn't clap after the numbers if you're in the movie theater, it's not a show, whatever. People clapped after the songs in our theater and it didn't feel like it took away from it at all. It actually felt very camaraderie. I was clapping really quietly to myself like this, and at first, and then everyone started clapping really loudly, and I was like, oh wait, everyone's clapping. And my husband turned and looked at me and he was like, that's kind of cute, and I don't know, it didn't take away from the movie at all. I don't know why people are so against that. It's not the same to me as singing along. Singing along with something is a distraction. Getting caught up in the emotions and clapping for a performance feels very lovely. Yeah, I don't understand why people are against that part. That really confused me. I thought it was lovely to hear everyone clapping. It didn't bother me at all. What else is interesting about it that I thought of? Oh, this is all gone apparently. There were only 4 people at our theater, so it could have been whatever we wanted. That's fair. That's totally fair. I know, that's hilarious, Amanda. I can't believe it. The Easter eggs were amazing. The Wizard of Oz Easter eggs were amazing. The Wicked Easter eggs were amazing. I mean, just everything, there were so many little things put in it that were obviously for the people who know the different IPs, both Wicked and Wizard of Oz, and I was like, you guys, this is fantastic. I mean, here's the thing, you guys, my husband is not a theater person. He's never seen Wicked. He knew nothing about Wicked except that it is a prequel to The Wizard of Oz before seeing this movie, and he was like, movie-wise, that was phenomenal. From a dude. He thought thought that the art direction was great, the cinematography was great, that the acting was great. He loved Ariana Grande. He had never heard of her before. He didn't know that she's a major pop star. He knew nothing about her, and he was like, she's so good, you know, blah, blah, blah. Okay, it's probably because of my coffee maker. I don't talk really loud in the morning because my husband's sleeping, but we'll go over to the book club area in a second and it'll be quieter. But just like, it was so well done. It was so well done. He literally was like, the girl who played Glinda is like the funniest thing. I was like, yeah, she is. She is the funniest thing. You're right. I agree. You know what I mean? Like, just so lovely. He was obsessed with Glinda's friends, the two, like, whatever. He thought they were hilarious. They were. He's right. He thought, like I said, he thought the art direction was great. He thought the cinematography was great. He noticed a lot of the Wizard of Oz things. He'd never seen Wicked before, but he noticed the Easter eggs from the Wizard of Oz, so that counts for something, right? Yeah, she did a great job. And you know what, you guys? I'm not a Cynthia Erivo fan, and I still thought she was good. So that means it's really good. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen her live in shows, and I didn't like it. So the fact that I liked her in this means that it was good for her. It's a good role then, you know? Because I didn't like her in the other things I've seen her in. So it's not just like I'm a stan who likes everything she does. I don't. But this was good. She was good. Really good. Yeah. Excellent. Did everybody catch the ruby slivers that they're not supposed to have? That was one my husband didn't catch. He didn't catch the ruby slivers. Yes. Kalia is in it. What was the secret husband rating on the movie if he rated it? He loved it. He didn't give like a number rating, but he loved it. So whatever, take that for whatever it is. I can ask him for a rating later, but he did not catch the ruby slivers. He actually asked me about that because he didn't know that in the book and in the musical there aren't ruby slivers. And so he was like, where were the ruby slivers? And I was like, here, I gotta explain this. But they were very cleverly snuck in. Very clever. It was very quick. Yes, it was very quick. It was a sneaky little sneak in of them. I loved the Mrs. Gulch bicycle. Loved that. Thought that was hilarious. I thought Jonathan Bailey was great. You know what I mean? Like, Norbert Leo Butz will always be the winner for me, but I thought Jonathan Bailey was a great option. I was sad that Norbert didn't make it in at all. Yeah, I don't blame you guys for being obsessed. It's so good. How could you not be obsessed, right? What else was interesting? I mean, here's the thing that, like, I want to go back and find my video from when Ariana first got cast, because not everyone, let me rephrase, not people like us, obviously, but like a lot of people were speaking out against Ariana being Glinda because they didn't understand the casting. They thought she was just some pop star who got the role because she's famous. And I was like, y'all don't understand. She was born for this role. She was born for this. She was bred for this. This is her role. And everyone was like going on and on. They were big mad, Becca. And I was like, you guys don't understand. She's perfect. And I said it years ago when she first got cast, and I saw it last night and I was like, it's true. She's perfect. She's perfect. Like, even, like I told you guys, my husband was even like, whoever that girl is, she's great. He didn't know she was a pop star. He was like, she's so good. I was like, that's Ariana Grande. He was like, who? I was like, okay, well. I wasn't going to buy, but I caved and listened to the soundtrack. Yeah. Her voice is amazing. She was literally, it's true. Yes, she did get her start on Broadway. So a lot of people don't know that. I mean, like, I saw her in a Broadway show when she was 12 years old, and I was like, man, that girl's got chops. And she went real far with those chops. Who was the first original cast for Wicked? The original Elphaba was Idina Menzel, and the original Glinda was Kristen Chenoweth. The original Fiyero was Norbert Leo Butz. All three of them are phenomenal talents, but of course they are far too old to be the characters in the movie now, which is why, you know, we don't have them playing those roles. And I think, hey Tasha, how are you? I mean, just overall, a truly phenomenal film. It was beautifully shot. I know I sound like a broken record, but like, what a lovely gift. What a lovely gift. Did you catch the other two Easter eggs in the Emerald City? Steven? Is that the one you're talking about? And then going to the hair salon? Are those the two? Because I caught those, if that's what you're talking about. The OG cast is timeless, but I think this one will go down with them. Honestly, I do. I think that this movie will be, categorized as one of the greatest movie musicals of all time. I really do. We haven't had one this good in decades. I can't even think, other than Chicago, of another one that was this well done in my lifetime. Can you guys? But like, popularity aside, even just like is there another movie musical that has been made in the last 3 or 4 decades that was this well done other than Chicago? I can't think of one. I'm open to correction if somebody thinks of one, but I can't. Like, I'm going through them all in my head, and I'm like, the reason it worked is because they didn't right. They definitely gave it their own little, like, you know, whatever, like that. But they didn't stray too far at all. Hey, Naisa, from the source material, they didn't try to add songs. They didn't try to add new characters. They are rare. Grease, yeah, but Grease was before I was born. So yeah, Grease and then Chicago. I consider Grease to be one of the tops. I agree with Kat, but Grease. But I'm like, in my lifetime, in the time that I have been alive, I think Chicago is the only one. Yeah, and that's only because they had time, right, Amanda? I mean, that would have happened in the musical if it was long. But this is the same length as the musical on its own. Morning, I have to watch Day on the Tube. My sister has a pop-up today. Oh, how fun. That's exciting. Enjoy. I think Grease was a top-tier musical. I think Chicago is a top-tier movie musical. And then this one. The others just don't really do it for me. Like, I go to them because I want to support them, but I only see them once and then I put them away forever. You know what I mean? Like, Hairspray I saw one time. It was fine. Trying to think of what other... I mean, like, Rent I love because I love Rent, but like, Sweeney Todd was really hard for me. I think Claire, the casting made that one very difficult. I am a huge Sondheim fan, and they chose 2 leads who really do not have what I consider the chops to sing a Sondheim score. So watching Sweeney Todd was really tough for me. It was a very difficult one because even Auto-Tune did not put them on key, and I was like, what are we doing here? You know what? The thing is, I think both Helena and Johnny Depp are phenomenal actors, and if it had been a straight play with no singing, they would have been perfect, but they do not have what it takes. If you could have added one thing to the... I can't think of a thing. I truly cannot think of one thing that I would change for the movie. There was only one tiny little thing that I thought was odd, but I don't think that I would change it because it's not for me to change because it's such a small thing. Yeah, a lot of people weren't... Yes, we could add slime to the movie, that's true. A lot of people weren't fans of the Rent movie. I have a special place in my heart for the Rent movie because of what it did, but I understand why people don't like it, and it will never compete with the stage musical. This is on par. This is on par with the stage musical. How were you involved with Wicked? I worked on Wicked 2 different times. The first time was when I was a teenager. I actually worked on the marketing for the album. We don't call them soundtracks. It was soundtrack for the movie, but an album for the Broadway show. Very, very early on in 2004, they hired a bunch of teenagers to try to figure out digital marketing, and I was a part of that group very, very early on. And then the second time I worked on Wicked was in 2014, and I was on the press team for Wicked, the Broadway show, not the album. And that one, I'm actually in the playbill. In your opinion, did Ariana Grande live up to the character? I have said from the literal minute that she was cast, Ariana was born for this role, and I was proven so correct seeing this. She was born for this role. She is the perfect vocally for this role. She's got the comedy chops. She's got the gravitas of the drama needed. Here's the thing, and I'm going to talk about this more in a video before I'm going to get into reading in just a second, but this is what most people don't understand and this is not a spoiler, and I said this is not, I think you know enough about Wicked that this is not a spoiler, but most people, okay, so the two leading ladies are Elphaba and Glinda, right? Glinda/Glenda. And everyone knows that Elphaba is technically the lead of the show, right? The show is about Elphaba. It is the life and times of the Wicked Witch of the West. So this is Elphaba's story. Glinda is technically the supporting lead, right? Okay, fine. Everyone is obsessed with Elphaba because how could you not be, right? She's our social justice warrior. She's, you know, wants to save everybody. She's so lovely. She's also being so persecuted in a very relatable way to a lot of us. She has a lot of things going on that are relatable to many, many different people. And the allegories of what she's dealing with are relatable to many groups of people. So most people find themselves relating to Elphaba. I get it. She's phenomenal. That being said, and we're not talking about The Wizard of Oz, and we're not talking about the book here. We're only talking about the musical and / the musical movie here. The character that has the most arc as far as story goes is Glinda, right? She's the one who grows. So as a character, she requires a much better actor, frankly. I'm not saying that Ariana's better than Cynthia. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that Idina is not as good as Glinda, etc. and so on. That's not what I'm saying. But the requirement to perform Glinda is so much higher than it is to perform Elphaba, because Elphaba is this pretty much the whole time, right? You got a Kindle yesterday? That's so exciting, Heather. So like, this is Elphaba's character in both acts. She believes this, she believes this, she believes this, she believes this, she believes this. There's occasionally little blips like this, a little bit, you know, sometimes like that, occasionally, right? But she is who she is, and she does not change, right? Minimal, like puffs of change. She grows a little bit, but not really anything to speak of. Glinda, on the other hand, has an amazing arc where she learns and grows as a human and becomes a completely full person that is different from the very Elle Woods arrives at Harvard version that we get at the beginning when she gets to Shiz. You know what I'm saying? So like, they're very different characters, and the fact that Ariana is able to, even just with her facial expressions, portray those changes, masterclass. She was born for this role, literally. Also, the fact that she took Megan Hilty's adorable ball gown moment and used it, that was good, because that Megan Hilty was my first Glinda, so I was glad to see that. But anyway, those are my long, I know how badly she wanted that role. She wanted that role. I wouldn't have seen it without your pointing it out. Nice work. Which thing, Kat? Which thing? Yeah, seriously, Becca, that's very serious. My brain would never do that. Oh, the Glinda arc. This is something that I've actually written papers about, like when I was in school for theater stuff, because the Glinda arc, and there hasn't. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. What did Secret Husband? He loved it. He thought it was so beautifully done. He loves anything with beautiful art, so he was just blown away by the art on this show. By the way, playing with my Grabby right now, it's divine. The scent is so good. Which one did you get this time, Claire? I don't remember. Also, I just sent your other one, so that's probably why my brain doesn't remember, because I literally just sent your next one. I also got a puppy this past Tuesday. Who was, aw, puppies. We love puppies. The Glinda arc is really, really poignant in part 2. So when everyone gets to part 2, or if you've seen the musical, you recognize her change so much in the opening of part 2. I'm not going to give any spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen it, but there's a song she sings at the beginning of part 2 that is really what when I write about it, I use that as like my evidence for it, because it's a song called Thank Goodness, and you'll get it when you get it. It's a Christmas semi. Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Part 2 is her time. Yeah. So anyway, this is all very funny, but so yeah, that's all the news that's fit to print on Wicked. I can't believe it was so good. I'm just blown away. I was like every minute, like I kept going like this. And Secret Husband kept looking at me and going, "Are you okay?" Because I kept shaking my head, and he was like, "You don't like it?" I was like, "I love it." He was like, "Oh, okay." But I was just like, like a child, just like staring at the screen. Anyway, that's all. I don't think my brain can watch only one part. You know what? Actually, it was really well done, Becca. I thought that I was going to have a little bit more trouble with that than I did, because I'm used to going on intermission and coming right back to the rest of it. But it didn't really... It was so phenomenally closed. Does your Kindle have ads? If so, does it bother you? It does, because I didn't want to pay to get them taken away. I don't even notice them. They don't bother me at all. It wasn't worth it to me to pay to get the ads taken off. They don't do anything to me. I'm also kind of a cheapskate, if we're being honest. I know a lot of people pay to get the ads taken off their Kindles. I just don't care. Yeah, so the movie Wicked is actually on track to almost recoup entirely in one weekend, which for a movie musical of this caliber, it's pretty fantastic. They spent $145 million to make this movie, and they are on track to earn $120 million opening weekend. That's almost all of it paid back. So they're going to recoup. And that's a great sign for musicals being made in the future. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't want to pay for it either, Avery. I literally don't. I wish we could own it now too. I really do. Waste of $20 in my opinion. They're money. Yeah, they don't even distract me, because they're only on it when you're not really using it. So it's like, whatever. Yeah. I don't have any negative feelings about the ads. Yeah, I could tell by number of merch collabs it was going to be big. It is big. And can anyone guess what the one teeniest, tiniest thing that... Okay, I wouldn't change it, and I wouldn't take it away. Exactly. I would have a big problem with it if it came up during reading, but it doesn't. There's one thing that I wouldn't take away or change, because it was part of the art direction, and I give them carte blanche to make their decisions. But can anybody guess what the one thing I thought was like, I kind of went, huh, that's a little weird when they did? There was only one thing that I was like head tilt about. I want to know if anybody can figure out what it was. And it might just be a me thing because of my studies. Like, it might only be something you notice if you've done what I've done in life. So most people probably wouldn't even notice. Yeah, definitely, Anya, definitely. But it always has been, right? You know what I mean? It's been with us for 2 decades at this point. There was only one. Okay, I was nervous that no, it doesn't come up during reading at all. Never. It's only when it's on screensaver. So it's like, who cares? There's just one thing. I want to see if anybody guesses before I explain it, Roxy. Okay, I don't think anyone knows. There was a tiny bit in the art direction both at Shiz and when she goes into the forest for a quiet minute, that had a very Wonderland feel to it instead of Oz, color-wise and like florally. And I was like, are we in Wonderland? What's happening here right now? Like, it took me out of the world for a second, but I don't know if anyone else would notice that unless they've studied fairy tales the way that I did, because there's a very stark difference between the world of Wonderland and the world of Oz. They're both literary tales. They're not fairy tales, they're literary tales. And they were written in similar times, not exactly the same time, but similar time frames, but they have very distinctly different worlds. And so I was like, what's that? It was kind of weird. It's not a negative. It would not take away from my review of the movie or anything like that, but I just thought that was kind of interesting. The other thing I did notice that I thought was a really good choice on their part was the parts of Oz. Did you guys notice this? The parts of Oz that are not Shiz, not the Emerald City, not Munchkin Land, the parts around them all kind of look like Kansas. Did you guys notice that? It's all like dead grass, dead cornfields. I was like, oh, you guys are clever. I see what you did there. Because it's supposed to be just an alternate version of our world, right? And I was like, I see what you did there, friends. It was very clever. Very, very clever. So anyway, those were my thoughts, if you will, on the Wickeds, as it were. And yeah, I'm very in my Wicked feels right now, which is like, I know it seems like I'm always on some like Broadway and ranting land, but like this one, I'm in my feels about it. It was good. It was good. All right, are we ready to read? Here we go. Let's get into it. We are on chapter 3 today. And for anyone who is new, hey Des, we are reading How My Neighbor Stole Christmas by Megan Quinn. And she and I share a last name, which is kind of cool because she's a great writer and I appreciate her work. I don't even have to watch the award show to know who's going to win. I mean, if Ariana is nominated, she should win, in my opinion. That's just my opinion on the matter. Good morning. Everybody would like to know your rating from 1 to 10 on the movie.
1 to 10 for a movie or 1 to 10 for like a musical movie?
Just how you felt about it. Like, did you feel it was good or whatever?
Well, that's very well made.
Yeah. What would you give it a rating wise? They asked me and I said I didn't know because we didn't number it yesterday.
I don't know how to rate movies with numbers. I mean, it's outside my genres and all that, but
visually,
I recognize it was well made and visually stunning, you know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't have a number, but it was good.
Yeah.
I can see it.
Yeah. They're both nominated, but Ari is supporting and Cynthia is for Best Actress. Oh, I didn't know that. They're already nominated? I did not know that. I did not know that they'd already been nominated for it. Abby, did you change your username? Looks like it changed. All right, so let's read chapter 3. Let's get into it. Cole tried, he truly did. He attempted to keep his poise, but how could he with her? Oh, that noise, noise, noise. She was very unpleasant. He couldn't stand her in the least, especially after she took away his chicken parm feast. Dun, dun, dun. You like that? Yes, it's very entertaining. I like your little chuckle.
What?
I liked your little chuckle, that's all. A very little All right, so this chapter is from Story's perspective, or at least this section of the chapter is from Story's perspective. She's headed over right now, Tehran says. Can you please stop fumbling with the soup? I'm not fumbling, I'm eating, I say after a gulp of tomato bisque. I'm starving. Well, it's rude to eat before everyone is present for dinner. It's rude to hold out on showing up until Jeopardy is over. You and I both know that she's terrible and she doesn't know the answer to a single question, I say. Not yet, Sophie, but I will. Not to mention, the Crinkle Krampus was so slow. By the time I got up to the register to order, I was gnawing off part of my arm. Didn't help that I ran into Cole, totally misjudged the whole name thing. Man, the look that he gave me, pure murder. He's sort of always been like that, though, you know, like a touch on the grumpy side. But like this go around, it was like he took on the whole persona of look at me and you'll die.
But the brief look that I did take, let's just say that boy did grow into a man. I've always thought Cole was cute. Like, how could I not, with the brown hair that he liked to flip to the side and those penetrating blue eyes that always had the heavy-set brow over them. Not to mention, I've always tended to flock towards the grumpier sort, but wow, I just really wasn't expecting to be bowled over by how handsome he is these days. How sharp his jawline is, peppered in that like thick scruff, how tall, how broad he's gotten, the deep tone of his voice and even surlier disposition. Talk about the kind of hero that you look for in a Lovemark movie. Well, on a huff, Tehran turned toward me and said, "Can you please just try not to be difficult?" How am I being difficult? I wasn't aware that we needed to stand in single file line and wait for our aunt to greet us as if we were house staff. I take another slurp of my soup. When she finally shows up, I will be there to greet her with... And then the front door opens, startling me, and I jump, my spoon clattering into the bowl in front of me, anxiety zinging through me as I bolt over to Tehran and stand at her side, our arms pressing together as the door swings open, revealing Aunt Cindy with a walker, Martha and May standing on either side. A sight to behold. Martha and May both sport their signature high-rise hair. That's what I like to call it anyway. They like to say the higher the hair, the closer to the North Pole, but it's matching cerulean blue and velour tracksuits that are really sending me, because Aunt Cindy is wearing one of them as well. "Oh, my girls," Aunt Cindy coos with more enthusiasm than I expected. I might have been totally wrong to assume, but I just thought we'd been coming here to care for an elderly woman in her bed, her shaky arm lifting up to point to the ice water for a palate cleanse. Sure, yeah, Mom said she had some recovery time in an assisted living facility where they focused on getting her up and walking, but this vibrant, smiling, velour tracksuit wearing woman in her tinted blue glasses is not the human that I was expecting. "Oh, aren't they just magnificent?" Aunt Cindy said, gesturing to me and Tehran. "Oh, yes, they are positively radiant," Martha says. "And how wonderful that they grew into those noses of theirs," May adds. Brow creased, I touched my nose and looked towards Tehran, who seems unfazed by the comment. "Hey, it's really good to see you, Aunt Cindy," Tehran says, stepping up and hugging her. "You look so well." "We spent the morning watching YouTube videos of some naughty thunder from down under men dressed in Santa costumes, thrusting their way around Santa's workshop. I had no idea it was a Beauvier December 1st tradition, but it sure did put a little color in my cheeks." Ew, gross. "Oh, well, Niall was her favorite," May said, nudging an elbow to Aunt Cindy. Niall? And look at that. I'm witness to more color in Aunt Cindy's cheeks right now. Not really how I wanted to start off this visit. "Hi, Aunt Cindy," I say, moving in and giving her a hug. "I'm glad you, found Niall." Not sure why I said that. I do say stupid things when I'm uncomfortable. "Thank you, dear. He was quite charming." Charming is a really nice way to describe a thrusting man in a G-string, but okay. "Here, let me help you in," Tehran says. "We have dinner ready on the table." "Oh, how lovely." She looks between us, a shaky smile on her lips. "I'm so lucky to have you two in my life, dropping everything to help me out." Ugh, when she says things like that, it makes me feel guilty for being annoyed by the horrendously cold weather, our grumpy neighbor, and the room full of winking dolls. She then turns to Martha and May. "Thank you, ladies, for your hospitality. Once I am better, I will be bringing over brownies." "Well, not if you put those black beans in them," Martha says, pointing her finger. "I know you're a health nut, but black beans shouldn't be in the same sentence as the word brownie." May nodded her head. "Oh, I second that." And then together they take off towards their house, the yellow one, diagonally across from Aunt Cindy's. The entire cul-de-sac is like a pastel Christmas palette. Pink, green, light green, red, yellow, and somehow it all goes together. And with poinsettias sprouting up from everyone's front garden, the houses have a brand of cohesiveness that says, "Hey, we celebrate Christmas," but it's like we've been designed by a single girl who decorates her house for the holidays in her own, magical Barbie way. I shut the door as Tehran helps Aunt Cindy to the table. For someone who broke her hip, she's moving around pretty well. I know she had time to heal at the hospital, but it makes me wonder if she's brought us here for another reason. I wouldn't put it past her, as Aunt Cindy has been known to pull some fast ones on people. Once we're all settled, she removes her cloth napkin from under her silverware. Aunt Cindy always appreciates a well-dressed table, and she places it on her lap. Well, my, this does look delicious. She smiles up at us and then digs her spoon into her soup, indicating that we are indeed allowed to do the same. Well, thank God, because my body is starting to fail from lack of nourishment. Sure, I might have eaten an entire bag of pretzels on the way here, along with 2 clementines, a box of Raisinets, and 3 applesauce pouches, but clearly that wasn't enough. How was the drive-in? Good thing you were able to make it on a nice day when the sun was out and the roads were clear. Yeah, it was a nice drive, Tehran says. Yeah, so sunny I had to put my glasses on, I say. See, I told you it's the same here as in California, Aunt Cindy says. Yeah, not even close, I thought. Don't get me wrong, it is beautiful here with the Rocky Mountains as the backdrop. It almost feels like Crinkletown is like inside a movie set, but California doesn't really reach the temperatures that would freeze off my... So, I say, wanting to change the subject and not talk about how much Aunt Cindy wishes I'd give up my bikini for a pair of snow boots. How's your hip feeling? You're so welcome, Sophie. You are so welcome. Well, it's okay, she says. I can get around at a slow pace, but everyday activities are difficult, which is why I'm glad you're here. Why I'm glad you're both here. She sets her fork down and pats her face with her napkin and says, I actually have something to speak to you two about it. It is quite important. Mom warned us about this. It's the death talk. I can feel it. Mom said Aunt Cindy was in her feels about her broken hip and how that ultimately leads to death for old people, so I'm mentally prepared to assure Aunt Cindy that she's not dying, and I know that Tehran is as well. What do you need to talk to us about? Tehran asks in a calm and almost sweet kind of voice. It's nice that at least one of us gets to hear her sweet voice. Well, as you know, Crinkletown does mean quite a lot to me. Yes, Tehran says. We are very aware of that. Well, then, for the last few years, I've taken part in the Christmas Kringle contest, a contest the town puts on every year where we name who is the most Christmassy of them all. Where's she going with this? Saying that she's going to keel over before she can enter the contest? Well, then, for the last few years, I've come in second, meaning I have not earned the title of Christmas Kringle. Well, second place is better than last place, I say with a lift of my spoon, but Aunt Cindy flashes her weary eyes at me. Second place is a loss. Should have seen that coming, given her competitive spirit. And last year I took second again, and I decided I was going to step up my game. Ooh, such a shame that you broke your hip right when you decided that, I say. Well, at least there's next year. There will be no next year, Aunt Cindy says with a hint of sass in her voice. I set down my spoon as well, looking toward Tehran, who seems to prefer observing than joining in on this conversation. She does that a lot. She stays quiet while I do the talking. It's been like that my entire life. We love you, Aunt Cindy, and I say this with the utmost respect, but I think that thinking that you're going to die any minute, from a broken hip, you just have to stop with that kind of thinking. What are you gabbering on about? She asks. I don't think I'm going to croak this very second. Oh, well, I mean, I wasn't saying that, but if you let me finish, you'd know that I don't plan on participating this year, but you are participating this year. Say that again, I thought. I think candy canes were stuffed in my ears because it almost sounded like she said I would be entering the Christmas Kringle contest. So I glance at Tehran, and when I'm greeted with a grin that tends to eat, if you catch my drift, I realize I did hear her correctly. Holding up a finger in question, eyes squinted, I clear my throat. Funny, so sorry. I thought I heard you say that one of us would be participating. Well, that's exactly what I said. I nod and lean back in my chair, looking up at my sister and say, well, Tehran, good luck with that. If anyone could do it for the family, it would be you and your boundless determination and need for perfection. Tehran shakes her head. No, afraid it can't be me. Why, you said you were staying. I am, just to take care of dear old Aunt Cindy. Oh, I waved her off. I've got that covered, no worries. You do? So you don't mind giving her sponge baths, then? Dear God in heaven. Hold back the dry heave. I glance over at Aunt Cindy, hiding the shiver that races up my spine, sticking the hairs on the back of my neck straight into the air. As tempting as it is to have such deep-rooted bonding moments with someone so important in my life, I just don't know how good I would be at getting in all the crevices. But hey, how about you take care of the bathing stuff? I point to my sister, and I'll take care of the rest while you work tirelessly on Kringletown. Christmas Kringle, Aunt Cindy corrects me. Right, the Christmas Kringle. I take my spoon in my hand and dip it into my soup. Glad we settled that then. Oh, I'm afraid that can't be the case, Aunt Cindy says as I have my soup halfway to my mouth. She leans over and pats my hand and looks me in the eye. I love you, sweetheart, but unfortunately I do not trust you with my life. Wow, okay, that stung. Can we say a little bit harsh? Tehran snorts, but she's smart enough not to make eye contact with me. Keeping my expression controlled, I say, wow, as nice of a compliment as that is to Tehran, can I ask why? Oh, Story, you've never really been the caring kind. Now, there's some shocking opinion, and then there's straight up insulting someone to their face. Seems like Aunt Cindy woke up and chose violence today. I do care. I'm here, aren't I? I ask. Ha, got her with that one. Yes, and I do appreciate that, but as you know, your sister is a nurse and more, well, equipped for taking care of me in a way that I need to survive this horrible tragedy. My God, she broke a hip while retrieving gingerbread cookies. It's not like she got mauled by a bear and her nose is being held together by stitches and glue. And I'll be sure to give you the absolute best care, Aunt Cindy, Tehran says. Does that care include sticking your nose up Aunt Cindy's behind? Because if so, show me the way to the Kringle Award and I'll stop stooping such levels, I thought to myself. I know you will, dear, Aunt Cindy says and then turns to me, which means you, my dear storybook, will be my protege. I don't like the sound of that. I check my non-existent watch on my wrist. Ooh, you know what? As great as that sounds, I just remembered I need to... You will do this for me, Aunt Cindy says, using her stern, don't mess with me voice. The only other time I've heard her use such a tone was when Tehran and I accidentally chopped down her most prized poinsettia in the front yard, and it took her an entire year to forgive us. I let out a nervous laugh. Okay, but you know, you will make it through this hip thing, and there is always next year. Also, I think about the sympathy you can garner from participating with a broken hip. It's like practically a fast track to first place. So like, I refuse to wait another year. With the bias floating around this town, no one will believe I'm up for it next year if I don't have representation on the throne. I need someone young, a whippersnapper who can lead the charge, impress the judges, flirt with them if you will, pull out all the tricks to secure the title. From the drop of spittle that flew out of her mouth and launched onto the fine linen tablecloth, I'm getting the impression that this award means a lot more to her than I thought. I first want to thank you for calling me young. Coming up on 30 has made me feel like I do have one foot in the grave, so bless you for that. But unfortunately, I don't know anything about this Kringle thing, so like, that's why you'll be my protege. While your sister cleans my crevices, as you say, you shall be the perfect act of becoming the town Kringle. The image on all of that is just too disturbing. I offer my aunt a gentle smile, trying to ease her into accepting that I will not be participating. No, it really sounds like a great time, I know, but I must admit I'm not sure. I had your application dropped off today. Bob Krampus is excited to see what you can bring to the competition. My expression falls. You already gave my application to Santa? A forged application? She nods. Yep. Quite thrilled that you'll be giving your performative spirit another try. And there it is, a mention of the past that still likes to haunt me in my dreams. Aunt Cindy, it's a done deal, Tehran chimes in. You're gonna participate in the Kringle thing, and I'm gonna take care of Aunt Cindy. But you know how I'm feeling a little weak, Aunt Cindy says, bringing her hand up to her cheek. I think perhaps I should lie down. Oh my God, a few seconds ago, she was frothing at the mouth, excited about the Christmas Kringle, and now she's suddenly feeling weak. Someone has been attending acting school in my absence. Yeah, let me help you to your room, Tehran says as she assists Aunt Cindy to a standing position with her walker. I sit back in my chair and watch as my great aunt hunches over, pretending to be feeble and incapable when a few minutes ago she was just blushing from the thought of Niall in a G-string dressed as Santa. I knew that I was going to get played. I just didn't realize it was going to be like this. All right, that should do it, I mutter to myself as I finish turning all the dolls in the room around so I don't have to look at their faces. I take a step back, observing my work, making sure I didn't miss any when there's suddenly a knock at the door, and Tehran appears, leaning against the door frame with her arms crossed. You really think that that's going to help? She asks. It will, I say, and then I look her in the eyes. And I swear to God, Tehran, if you have come in here and turned one of them around, I will be a fixture on that trundle bed, and you will get zero privacy with Guy. She smirks. She's probably already had the thought to mess with me, but at least the threat is out there now. I will not tolerate any sort of funny business when it comes to me and these freaking dolls. Did Aunt Cindy go to bed? Yes, Tehran says while taking a seat on my bed. Now, about this Christmas Kringle thing, do you really think that she's possibly mistaken and maybe she turned in an application for herself? You know, I think I saw an article somewhere that's linked to dementia and broken hips. You know, maybe dinner tonight was a dementia moment for her. First of all, dementia's not something to joke about. No, I wasn't joking. I'm really serious. I read the article. I say, and secondly, she continues, completely ignoring me, she was very serious. While I was helping her into her nightgown, she made me promise that I would be sure to keep you in the competition. And you said, no, I would never do that to my sister, right? That's what you said? After everything that she's been through, I wouldn't torture her like that? That's what you said? No, I told her you'd do it. I flop back on the floral bedspread and stare up at the canopy. Tehran, why? You know I can't do anything that requires performing. You don't even know what the Christmas Kringle is, Tehran said, and I sit back up, propped up by my hands behind me and say, yeah, I do. While you were combing out Aunt Cindy's hair, I was looking it up online. There are several competitions required to be the Christmas Kringle, and they all play out in front of the town, and I'm not doing it. Tehran sighs and walks over to the bed where she takes a seat. Story, don't you think it's time that you get over your fears? Get over my fears? I say, exasperated. Tehran, I was humiliated in front of this entire town. The last thing I want to do is relive that. You were 18 years old, which was a very impactful year for me, and I was a fresh adult with all my possibilities in front of her. And then for that to happen, I shake my head. No, I won't relive that. Tehran takes my hand in hers. You tripped over an elf shoe and knocked out a cutout of a wooden present. It really wasn't that big of a deal. Are you forgetting the fact that the wooden present knocked into Mrs. Fiskers, who lost her balance and tumbled down the hill and into the river, where there was a rescue effort for the full escort full of firemen, police officers, and medics just to get her back out? Yeah, that happened. I sent a lady in her 50s tumbling down a hill and into a freezing river. It was humiliating, Tehran. I didn't want to do it, but that stupid Santa reveal... bless you. I didn't want to do that stupid Santa reveal in the first place, but I needed the volunteer hours for school so that I was forced to parade around in a stupid elf costume. Bless you. I should have known that it wasn't going to go well. Didn't you forget a line you had to say too? She asks, just sticking the knife into my back further, full of memories. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I lean against the headboard and draw my knees into my chest. Ever since then, I've made it my mission to always be a person behind the screen, editing out the embarrassment rather than the girl in front of the camera. And you're very good at your job, Tehran says, a rare compliment from her. But this is going to be different. You're older now, less clumsy. I'm still clumsy, and the town knows it. They don't ever forget anything here. They didn't forget about the hot chocolate shortage of 2012. They didn't let me live down the signature tree tipping over the baubles and the wrappings, and they most definitely will never forget about Mrs. Fiskers being knocked into a river. And then I whispered, adding, they had to treat her for hypothermia. The river was mostly frozen, but her elbow hit the ice and cracked it just enough for a rush of water to fall over her. I think she was being dramatic. It wasn't even really that cold out that day. It doesn't mean that the water wasn't cold. Tehran sighs and then places a hand over my knee. Story, I understand that you're nervous, and rightfully so. You haven't had the best of luck in this town, but this is for Aunt Cindy, and she's the one who created all the magical Christmas moments that we've had in our lives. It wasn't Mom, and it wasn't Dad. It was her. She's asking for help, so I think we kind of owe it to her. I groan because I know she's right. Aunt Cindy was the one who welcomed us into this house during Christmas, wrapped us up in the deepest, warmest hugs, and included us in decorating the tree, making cookies with us, allowing us to use her dining room as Santa's sleigh, and the chairs as a reindeer. She is the one who created the magic. I leaned my head back. Tehran, I'm going to humiliate myself again. You won't, she said. You're older, wiser, and you're going to have Aunt Cindy mentoring you. If anything, you're going to succeed. I promise. Why do I feel like this is a disaster waiting to happen? Christmas Kringle? No, thank you. She was still very scared. I don't think I can do this, she constantly declared. Her name was in the ring, for it was a Crinkletown honor, and guess who totally noticed? The grumpy Cole Connor. Cole. Okay, if I'm going to sit back and watch this story unfold, the least I can do is set you straight. It's just Cole. There is no Connor involved in my name. Narrator. Yes, but Connor rhymed with honor. It worked better. You're giving the readers the wrong impression. Narrator. Would you have preferred if I found a way to rhyme Cole with a-hole? Never mind. That's what I thought. You focus back on your part, and I'll handle the narration. Now, back to the story. It was actually very funny. Hey, did you see that they were putting names out for the Christmas Kringle? Max asks as he walks up to me out of a shift from the forest. It's about noon, so he just got done setting up the tree plots with families investing in the ever-growing forest so we can keep the farm constantly thriving. I open the reindeer feed bin and pour in a sack of food, letting the new food go in first, and then topping it off with the old food that I already pulled out. Does it look like I stand around Ornament Park waiting to see who's entering some asinine competition? Oh, you are extra grumpy today. Any reason why? Maybe it's because there's a certain sister who's now in town. And when I glance at him, I catch him wiggling his eyebrows, and it takes everything in me not to grip the back of his head and dip it into the reindeer feed. I am regularly like this, I huff out. I would agree, but this attitude is a normal occurrence for you. Still, I feel there's a little bit of like snap to it. Some might say something spicy. I roll up an empty burlap bag of feed and store it away for when I go to the feed farm to restock. Is there a point to you coming here, or are you just here to annoy me? Yeah, I already said it. Shall I repeat myself? I came to see if you saw who entered the Crinkle contest. And there it is. The most annoying thing about the town where I live. December hits and they all start talking about who's going to be named Kringle for the year. Confused? Hang on a second. Let me lay it out for you. A few years back, the proprietors of the town gathered with their Christmas cups full of mulled cider and called the honorary mayor Bob Krampus, and they came up with the idea to start the Crinkle competition as a way to draw even more people out to the town. Throughout the month, those who entered the competition have certain tasks and mini tests that they're graded on, and then all those scores are accumulated to see who's the merriest of them all. And then that person is named the Kringle. It's a totally pointless title that they get to lord over the rest of us all year long. And when it was introduced, everyone was beside themselves to point out that they limited it to one entry per household, and each competition goes hand in hand with one of the proprietors of the town acting as judges. For example, handmade candy canes are judged by old man Chadwick, who owns the candy shop in town. He gets to cut people down on their candy cane making abilities, gather some advertising for his own store as he boasts about the fact that he's even better, and points are awarded to the participants. This way, the businesses in town are offered some sponsorship and advertisement while keeping the competitive spirit alive. The whole thing's really stupid. I've never entered, and I have zero plans to ever enter. But the people of Crinkle, well, they think differently. To them, this is the greatest honor of all time. To them, this is what the year builds up to. For the entire month of December, this is all they ever even talk about. And I thought Max was better than them, but I guess not. Like I said, I don't care who enters. Oh, you don't? Max replies with a smirk. Huh, guess I was wrong then. He's baiting me, and unfortunately I have to take the bait. Fine, who the hell is it? He smirks. Your new neighbor. New neighbor? I ask, confused. I don't have a new... But then I pause, my mind short-circuiting as I start to clue in. Wait. I meet Max's gaze and he slowly nods. Are you telling me Story entered the competition? Yup. Saw her name on the board today. It's all anyone is talking about. They're drawing up conclusions about why. Some think it's because Cindy can't compete this year, so Story's taking her place. Others think it's because she's trying to make up for what happened to Mrs. Fiskars by taking part in the town celebration. And there's a small batch of townies who think she's out to ruin Christmas and possibly take out the signature tree again. But that's mainly coming from the Dankworths, and personally I think she's just doing it to irritate you. Why would it irritate me? I ask, even though I can feel my blood pressure starting to rise. I don't know. Max leans into a wooden pillar in the barn. You tell me. I don't care what she does, I say, and I spin away and move over to the hose to fill up the reindeer's water. And yet, you say that in a tone that says you do care. I pause, gripping the hose tightly because the effing audacity of my friend. After everything she's said about this town, she's going to try to be the Christmas Kringle. She's going to act like the goddamn belle of the ball and try to show her Christmas spirit. Like I said, I don't give an F who wins or anything about the stupid competition, but to see her trying to snatch up this honor for a town she hates, yeah, hates, from her lips to my ears, hate, I don't effing think so. You know, people think she has a good chance of winning, too, Max presses, given that Cindy came in second the last few years. They think with guidance, Story can, pull out the win. That's great. I don't care, I think. I really shouldn't care. Sure, it's annoying that someone like her would even attempt the competition, but I don't care. I turn the hose on, direct the water into the trough, and try to ignore the irritating feelings pulsating through me. In all honesty, I could see it happening. New girl in town, embracing the Kringle for everything she has to offer, and the merriest of them all. She has what it takes. No, she doesn't, I think to myself. Not that I know what it takes, because like I said, I don't pay attention. But if I were to pay attention, she most definitely would not have what it takes. And honestly, I think that I might be rooting for her, Max adds. And this makes me snap, because the F he is. I turn off the water, set down the hose, and face my friend. You will not be rooting for her. And no, she does not have what it takes. Not even close. Oh? He asks, a lift to his brow. I'm surprised you have an opinion on that. It's not an opinion, it's a fact. And she doesn't deserve to win. She shouldn't even be allowed in the competition. She's not a part of the town. She doesn't live here. She doesn't even like it here. Yeah, she told me that to my face. She said she hates this town and she called it stupid. Max's face goes from playful to hurt, all joking aside now. Oh, she said that? I nodded him. When did she say that? Doesn't matter. I practically huff as I turn to pick my nose. Oh my God. I read pick my nose, but it's pick up my hose. This is what happens when you have brain issues. But Max stops me. No, it clearly does matter because you're angry about it. So, when did she say that to you? I twist my lips to the side, hating that I even brought it up because I've bottled this interaction for a long time, and one mention of her pushes it over the edge and I spill everything out. It was the night that my parents passed. What? He asks, his face growing even more serious. You never told me that. What did she say? Well, looks like I'm unloading now. I lean against the wooden beam. Look, I had just found out about the accident. I didn't know any details, and I was just sitting on the porch waiting for the news, and she walked down the street. This is after the Mrs. Fiskars dumped in the river thing. Anyway, Story spotted me, and she joined me on the porch. It was like a common place for us to gather and just talk, and at that point, we knew each other well enough for me to realize she was upset about something, so I asked her what was wrong, trying to get my mind off what had happened to my parents. Well, it was just a huge goddamn mistake, because she went on a tirade about the town, about how the Christmas year-rounding was stupid, and the stores were annoyingly cheesy, and she hated coming here to visit. Just basically shit on everything that Kringle has to offer. No holding back, truly. She just went for it. Jesus, what did you say? Nothing. I crossed my arms over my chest because how could I? I crossed my arms over my chest and toes to the ground. I said nothing because how could I? I was just so lost thinking, how could I have lost my parents in an accident together? How was I going to live without them if they died? She didn't know about the accident, so part of me can forgive her for saying it because she didn't know that. But in the moment, I was simply just gutted, She left on effing Christmas of all days. She didn't even see the town rally behind me when it was confirmed that my parents hadn't survived. And then all I could do was grieve. This town has its annoyances, but it can be tough to live in at times, but the things she said about it are not true. They angered me, and my grief is wrapped up in that too. I'm still here because of how this town picked me up when I was at my lowest, how it looks after its own. Yeah, no, look, I get that. I know your loyalty. He scratches the back of his head. Man, I wonder what changed her mind. Do you think she likes the town now? Hey, Kennedy, we're doing good. Congratulations on getting to 33 weeks. No, I answer. I'm honestly not sure I can even seem to let go of this grudge. I refuse to let him paint her in a good light. Well, here's the thing. Everyone thinks she has a good chance of winning. Well, she doesn't deserve to win. She doesn't deserve the glory of the title, I thought. Pointless, even though the title may be. She doesn't even deserve to be part of the competition at all. It's not fair. I glance out at the reindeer, my mind whirling around. Interlude from narrator. His brain spun with thoughts, some big and some small, and then an idea came to him. The greatest idea of all. Oh shit, I have a thought, I say, a grin tugging at my lips. A wonderfully horrible thought. I'm listening. Max leans in and says, what if I enter the contest? You? Max scoffs on a laugh. Dude, come on, be serious for a second. No, I am serious, I say. What if I enter? It would easily be the talk of the town, eclipsing any conversation about story. No one would even expect it. And given the standing that I have here as a person who takes care of Santa's reindeer, I could take the win. Steal Christmas, some might even say. Max stares at me, blinking a few times, and when he doesn't answer, I press on. What do you think? Honestly, I think you've lost your mind. I shake my head. No, look, I'm starting to see clearly for the first time. This is the perfect way to fix this problem. Okay, first of all, this isn't really a problem. Sure, Story has said some shitty things, and maybe she really is trying here. But secondly, dude, you know what the competition is like, and you know that they accept applications and choose the contestants, and you're not really that kind of person. Whispering, he continues, dude, they judge you on jolliness, and I don't think you have a jolly bone in your body. Oh, really? I thought. Not a jolly bone in my body. Wait until he gets a hold of... Shoulders back, I chest puffed out. I smile widely, flashing the grin of all my teeth, my eyes crinkling at the corners. Max takes a step back, shielding his eyes. What the hell are you doing? I'm showing you my jolliness. Well, fucking stop. It's terrifying. My smile droops and my eyes narrow. Oh, I thought it was a nice smile. How would you know? You didn't look in a mirror. Max shook his head, and that was uncomfortable to witness, honestly. He says, oh, F off, like you could do better. Hey, is that a challenge? I cross my arms over my chest. Yeah, it is. Fine. He sticks his hands in his pocket, leans a little to the left, pops an eyebrow and a smirk at the same time, flashing me some sort of movie star smile. I try to look away, act disgusted, attempt to shield my eyes, but hell, that is a great smile. It is a really nice one to look at. Some might say a jolly effing experience to see. I can see from your stare that you're mesmerized. Oh, F off, I scoff. He chuckles for a few seconds and then smooths his hands together. In all seriousness, man, this is a really bad idea. You're gonna scare people more than inject them with holiday spirit. And I hate to say it, but you really aren't the jolliest. The town proprietors might ask you to leave the competition, and that'll be more humiliating than anything. I shake my head. No, you're wrong. This feels right. This feels like it's meant to be, I say, still feeling high on this wonderful yet terrible idea. Okay, he says, I see that you have reached a manic state, so I'm going to go ahead and let you live in this one for a second as I remind you exactly what's involved with the competition. He uses his finger to tick off the different tasks. The eggnog wars. Not sure you've ever made eggnog in your life. I've drank it. Not a qualification, but okay. The Upcycle Christmas. A human diorama in front of the town, and you don't even do public scenes. Nothing like getting out of my comfort zone to get the blood pumping. The Fruitcake Festivus, he says. You hate fruitcake. Well, this gives me the perfect opportunity to make it better, I counter. Max's face grows annoyed. The light display? The candy cane making? I wave my hand at him in dismissal. I was born to hang lights. Who do you think hangs them for the cul-de-sac? And candy cane making... Nah, I have a workaround for that. Okay, Max says with a grin, looking like he has me on this next point. The Christmas caroling. You're really gonna sing in front of the caroling cafe? Put on a performance? You don't even sing in front of other people at all, unless it's family. I haven't yet, but you've heard my voice. Some may say it sounds like an angel whispering to you. You are so full of it, Max scoffs. Dude, this is not the competition for you. You know it, I know it, and it's going to end in tragedy. It won't, I say, shaking my head. Do you know why? And I stare at my best friend, arms crossed, a Grinch-sized smile on my face. Why do I feel like I'm not going to like the answer to this? It's not going to be a tragedy because you're going to enter the competition with me as my holly jolly sidekick. No effing way, Max says. Nope, not going to happen. History has shown us that the holly jolly sidekick is the one who gets humiliated the most, and that's why there aren't very many of them in the competition. How could I possibly humiliate you? I ask. You're my lifeline in all of this. I would never humiliate you. I don't believe you. You have that look in your eyes, the one that says you want to win at all costs. That's right. I will win at all costs, which means I have no issue standing on the table caroling at the cafe and belting out Rudolph the Red-Nosed Effing Reindeer while you shower me with fake snow. I'm pretty sure that isn't the title of the song. He says, and while you shower me with fake snow, I continue to ignore him completely. I'll hop around, arms tucked in and flashing my hooves and making a scene of it all. You will look positively serious in competition with me. Do you even hear what you're saying right now? Max asks. Oh, I do. I nod. And I've never been surer of anything in my life. If Story wants to pretend like she's taking part in this town means something to her, then she's going to have to go up against me. I point to my chest. If anything in this town means more to me than anyone else living here, I might bitch about it during this time of year. I might even have some dark history considering this particular month, but maybe this is something that I need. I say, my voice growing soft. The high starts to taper, and the realization begins to set in. The realization of how alone the season makes me feel. My family traditions that I once shared are now faded into distant memories. The Maxheimers made sure I was never alone at Christmas, that I received gifts and ate copious amounts of food, felt included, but I've never had Christmas with my parents again. That all stopped nearly a decade ago. The spirit of Christmas, no longer a warm, familiar embrace, now just a mere afterthought. That's what it had to become. And a season that should be full of happy smiles, of my family gathering around a tree, is now an empty, bleak, and just another day to scratch off on the calendar. Sensing the shift in mood, Max places his hand on my shoulder. Hey, Cole, man, they would have loved to see me do this, I say solemnly. My dad would have cackled his ass off, while my mom would have been my holly jolly sidekick. I look him in the eyes. I hate this time of year. Don't get me wrong. I'm grateful to your family for adopting me as one of their own, but the night my parents passed, they took all the magic away with them. I understand, man, he says, then he grimaces. All right, fine, I'll do it. Max, I didn't say, no, I know, he nods, but you are my best friend, and I know you'd do the same for me. Reluctantly, but you would do the same for me. I smile at him softly. Look, I would bitch about it the entire time, but you're right, I would do this for you. Max chuckles. Yeah, I know. He clasps his hands together and blows out a heavy breath. Okay, listen. If we're going to do this, we're going to do this right. And there will be no cutting corners, no scoffing ideas. We are all in. He quirks a brow at me. Are you all in? He holds his hand out to me and I take it, offering him a strong shake. Yeah, I'm in. Fantastic. Fantastic. It's so good. It cracks me up. My brain is still waiting for a witch. Yeah, no witches in this book. But Christmas magic, you know, all that. I'm so glad you guys are loving this as much as I am. The dialogue in this is so funny to me. Like, it's such a joy to read. It just makes me smile from ear to ear at all times. It's so good. Absolutely adore it. Just fantastic. Just fantastic. So that's the whole thing for today. Of course, tomorrow is Sunday, so we will not... Yeah, definitely, Sophie. I will be recommending it to lots of people. We don't have book club tomorrow, of course, because it's Sunday. But if you are a Patreon member, I put up a lot of polls yesterday, so please participate in those polls. It's just to get dates for different lives and whatnot. I rely on you all to tell me what's good for you. Do you think Glue Wall will make it even better? I don't know what you're talking about, Harmon. Will make what even better? I've been busy during book club and I need to catch up. I will get this right away. Yeah, Glue Wall's great. Glue Wall is it's very difficult to use, but it is great for thick slimes. It's just very, very finicky, so be very careful. So that is, I will get it up today, Sloth. I promise to have this this up today for everyone to listen to who needs to. I don't know anything about Glue All Max. I've never heard of that one, Harmon, so I can't speak to it. I can tell you that I use Glue All and it's great, but I don't know what Glue All Max is, and I can't imagine that it's any better than Glue All. So if it's more expensive, it's probably a scam. Don't waste your money on it. There's no need to add all these extra things. There's a whole thing going around right now where people are just adding a bunch of BS to slime for no reason, to just spend extra money. No reason for it. You know what? Just use the regular ingredients that are on the list that I gave you. There's no need to go outside the box. If you want to go outside the box, that's on your own, because it's not something that I have tested, so I can't speak to it. I will tell you what I've done, plain Glue All. Okay, so anyway, this is perfect. It's the most amazing book. I love it. It's great. I am still looking for a Hanukkah rom-com to be our next book, because like I said, I do want to be equitable as much as possible. So if, you know what, we're not doing this morning. We're not doing this morning. Goodbye. Yeah, I did it, Becca. I already did it. I took care of it, Whitney. Don't worry. If anyone comes upon, like if you see suggested around TikTok a Hanukkah rom-com, I would love for that to be our next one. No, I totally understand, Becca. Anyone who's going to be rude to a book club person can just skadooch. We don't do that. So yeah, if you see someone talking about a Hanukkah rom-com, I think it would be really great for us to do that, you know? And I'll look for some, you guys look for some. Obviously, we're not going to be done with this book for a couple of weeks, but it's always good to check in advance. I will ask around, and that is kind of the whole kit and caboodle. I might be on later to make slime, but I also have a lot of advent calendar stuff to work on, so be patient with me. If anyone didn't see, I have my slime guide on sale for $1. Oh, it just happened, Becca, right as you were texting me. You couldn't have seen it. Because I want to spread it to teachers and stuff. If you have a teacher of your kids or anything like that who's looking to make slime in their classroom, please download my slime guide and just gift it to them for the Christmas season. It's $1 right now because that's the cheapest I'm allowed to make it on any of the things. Give it to everybody. I'm so sick of these people making recipes that don't make sense and giving kids bad slime. Oh, does it not work on I didn't know that, Becca. So please give it to your kids' teachers for Christmas. Print it out, laminate it, do whatever. It's a PDF. Just give it to everybody. You know what I mean? Because spread the good slime, you guys. We don't need to be misinformationing all over the place. Miles, the slime, did it come out good? I hope it came out good. I think I'll buy it and make a little book for my daughter, and she'll read it and do it together. Yeah, do it. It didn't even hold glitter. Oh, poor baby. Sweet boy. All right, so I will see you all later. Obviously, this book is great. Recommend it to everyone. I couldn't be enjoying it more, and I'm so glad you guys are enjoying it too. I'm glad that we thought of it because it's funny AF. I love Max already. I think he's like the best and so funny. All right, have a great rest of your day, everybody. Love you too, and I will see you on the flip side. Bye, guys.